Dear colleagues, I'm often asked as Ukrainian, when was that first moment when we crossed the border since the beginning of the war to the areas where there were no war? And surprisingly, I remember that moment a lot. Yes, there were queues of people, there were a lot of tears, but there was also one thing that I remember very clearly that really broke my heart, is the fact that the birds were singing on the border. For quite a long time, and it was our first trip actually to Strasbourg when we were crossing the border with our female members of the parliament. And I was so shocked that for all the days I didn't hear the nature. And unfortunately, that's happening in many parts of Ukraine where Russia is committing everyday crimes on the environment. It can be huge crimes or it can be post factum crimes. And every time when their air missile is flying to any of the towns, you know what happens in the animal shelters? Dogs have heart attacks. The same happens with cats. And every time, if you ever just look at this information and you speak to people who are doing this help for animal shelters, you will know how many animals are dying. And it's not only because of the crime at the Kakhovka Dam, where hundreds, thousands of animals and trees and flora and fauna is absolutely destroyed, and we will have that consequences for the generations to come, and not only in Ukraine but also in other parts of the world. And unfortunately, every day we're getting threatened by new possible nuclear threats and Zaporizhia plant. And if we just imagine what would it be if another big crimes happen, it's going to be big global disasters. But there is one good news. When the war has started, many of you stopped being dependent on Russian energy. Many of you fully stopped or reduced your dependence, and it's very good not only for the civilized choice, but also for environment. Please be creative. Do make that tools that will matter for the generations to come. And don't forget about that the birds actually should be singing in different parts of the world. And there should be no air missiles that stop you from hearing that sounds.